Just going to document this, the only righteous way to end a prolonged dry fast. Aloha. So, using the power of technology, I will reverse the chronological arrow of time and show the clips in reverse linear narrative style, having just blitzed my fast with fish and chips and coffee, sláinte, rather than the usual pizza and Bailey's bonanza and Bailey's chocolate and ice cream and all the usual. Nonetheless, it has obliterated the pregnant sow belly that I've been rocking. Even though I'm now wearing that fish and chips visibly, it's still done a world of good considering the Ukraine belly that I put on. So I will now reverse the arrow of time and you can see the process. Only fools are certain, and wisdom begins in wonder, to be sure, to be sure. Love, child of illusion, parent of disillusion, sibling of sorrow, and cruel school bully to the broken. Just going to document this, the only righteous way to end a prolonged dry fast. As the chronological arrow of time continues to flow in reverse, 60 hours in, or 61, so I'm only a few hours away from that fish and chips coffee combo that should make me higher than magic monkey juice in a crack lounge with George Orwell and William Shakespeare and Oliver Reed, perhaps just as demented, maddened as if by meth. But yes, even though mental agility is no longer optimal, 60 or 61 hours towards the end of a fast, and finally my post-pandemic in paradise, post-Barbara Bursha and alcoholic Ukraine warzone pregnant belly has finally been destroyed. And I'm sure I'm going to regain some of it with the fish and chips, but it's a positive sign at last to see dramatic. I don't know why the progress was more dramatic 4 months ago with a six-pack and a muscular abdomen. My definition came out so much more dramatically when you're carrying so much weight in this shoddy condition, being the first man in history to leave a war zone 10 to 15 kilograms fatter than he entered it, and having lost about 10 kilograms of muscle in the process. So, I mean, that was a real boozy beano. But at last, it's obliterated, and I'm only a few hours to go. 66-hour dry fasts definitely work. Ketosis, autophagy, stem cell regeneration. It's a magical process. All right. And from 61 hours here, the next clip should be 48, and a comparatively delirious 26 hours in. And yeah, just chatting the process. No longer the belly of a pregnant sow. And I'm a few weeks of intense training away from my six-pack returning. To be sure, only fools are certain. Aloha, tip of the cap, Funk's old brothers and sisters. At last, to my sweet, blessed relief, it's finally starting to have a discernible effect on the belly of a pregnant sow that I've managed to accumulate and build and nurture over the past 4 months, because my last fast in September and in October, my 2 Phuket periods, first taking my girlfriend to Phuket to fly out of there, and then flying out myself a month later, having charmingly enough, blacked her eye surfing. I already had a six-pack at the start of those, but the effect was mind-bending, even to my twisted melon, an abandoned boneyard of a brain housing a mayhem-addled mind. Yeah, you would think that the more dramatic effect would be when you look like a bovine cow, as well as being beef-witted, having the belly to match. But no, it takes a little bit longer which is strange to me, carrying so much more body fat and water weight. But at the very least, 48 hours in, and it seems to be an autophagic and ketonic sweet spot, and clearly stem cell regeneration is going ahead well. And however haltingly I'm speaking, it is clearing the mental fog that's been present, because in 4 months since sacking off a romantic reunion, at last coming to terms that I spent my entire year tying my flag to the mast of a sex-crazed nymphomaniac shyster, as seen in the Vice Tantra Island documentary, and all other such creatures that I've been foolish enough to love. Love, child of illusion, parent of disillusion, sibling of sorrow, cruel school bully to the broken. I should have fucking known better. Well, after that, sacking off India, I reverted to plan A and went to Ukraine, and I've drank heavily, which is why I started this fast with the belly of a pregnant sow. So, no longer equipped with the mental agility of a slug sliming in the sun, I will use the new magical powers I'm equipped with, and with the magic of technology, I'll reverse the chronological arrow of time, and you will revert. The next clip will be at 26 hours in, when I was still blundering through the fog like a clown stumbling pitifully through a minefield. I was still equipped with the gibbering mind of a particularly stupid infant, and I prattled on, no doubt about natural disasters and relief and / profiteers. I'm proud that I was in the former, not the latter camp, and torture and violent captivity, and a purgative pandemic in the palm shade of paradise, and presumably falling in love with the wrong women on Tantra Island, crystal / crypto island, where now even the pseudo-spiritualists are being outnumbered and phased out by the nihilistic digital nomads and play partiers who are just plastic fantastic, but they don't feel the need to attach spiritual meaning to their orgiastic bacchanal bliss. Like my girlfriend, therapist healer that she was, she admitted that it was a sort of nihilistic lusting for flesh, given the shortness of life, but given the torment that I've been in this entire year, more than a year now, that she's lived rent-free in my head as my sole monogamous lover, doomed monogamous poet that I am, embroiled in masochism offered by a sadist. Hey, in this brave new world of social media, perhaps she has it right. I'm an anachronism, a man out of time. But anyway, at least 48 hours in, the dry fast is starting to whittle me back down, and another 4 weeks of training with the intensity of a mad demon, and I'll have my six-pack back and the love handle's gone, and I'll be full fighting shape. And I'll prove to Ukraine that they lost a good soldier. I'm not unfit for military service at all. I'm officer class, We shall see we shall. So this should now revert to not 48 hours, but 26 hours in, when, believe it or not, I was comparatively delirious. Can you imagine? Well, peace, love, unity, respect. And war, hatred, disunity, and disrespect. It's a cruel and pitiless world. This unmerciful monkey farm of Absurdistan, is it not? Keep your powder dry and your pecker hard. Aloha! 48 hours in, and at long last, to my sweet blessed relief, it's starting to have some discernible effect. Which is bizarre, because my last fasts were much more evident. They had a dramatic... Oh, fuck off. Well, I think 26 hours in, oddly enough, unless I'm entirely delirious, but it feels like there's less discernible effect 26 hours into a dry fast whilst having the belly of a pregnant sow than the last time, which was 4 months ago when I had a six-pack, which is slightly odd. Not entirely an endorsement of alcohol, but the last time when somewhat more radical results were evident at first glance, I think I did 60 hours dry all in all, and it just removed the last of... There was a little bit of stomach definition, and it just removed the last of the love handles and all the rest. The last surviving remnants of spare tyre. But since then, once I realised that in the month between somehow turning her last moments in Thailand and our last moments together into injuring her, managing to black her eye disgracefully and shambolically, and returning a month later to leave via Phuket myself after 3 years in the purgatorial palm shade of paradise for a pandemic, a very purgative one in my case, healing or trying to desperately, incomplete, loony toad quack, spaz-frazzled space cadet omni-shambles trying to heal from a torture. I'm not entirely sure I managed it, but then at any rate, I drove her to Phuket Airport on the, what would it have been, the 12th anniversary of September the 11th, incorrectly referred to as 9/11 by our brethren across the Atlantic who suffered that tragedy. So I shouldn't really criticise their idiosyncratic quirks in placing day before, month before day, which is slightly odd to me. I hope this video has been recording with sound, because I may well have been gripping I might have been covering the volume, or the microphone rather. I must be delirious. Anyway, I'll try and I'll keep this brief, said the actress to the bishop. It seems like there's more dramatic effect when you're already quite muscular with a low body fat percentage, because since getting home myself a month after her, when I should have obviously left at the same time, I now realise that I swiftly realised that I had been fooled and fooling myself all year. It was a delusion. Love is the child of illusion, parent of disillusion, sibling of sorrow, and cruel school bully to the broken. And yeah, all the more so when Barbara Burscher is the Juliet in question. And I've been drinking ever since, which is how you go from six-pack to the belly of a pregnant hog. A pregnant sow's disgusting blob gut. That's how you go from that well, actually I was rocking this in probably New Year by the time the Iranian Shahed kamikaze drones were coming down around me in Kiev. I was already rocking this. So to go from, six-pack, still in maybe a month after getting back to England. So from that last surf in Phuket alone, which was a happier occasion than in mid-September, the month earlier, somehow blacking her eye. It's funny how these romantic omnishambles always take some prized and cherished word or phenomenon or concept and warps it perversely. Like with Camilla, it was joy and serenity. His family owned Serenity in Bali. And then Barbara, candy flip, LSD and MDMA together used to be my primary means of achieving spiritual communion and joy. And with her, having been tortured with her, it took 6 slow months to build towards the slow burn. Not so much steady progress as terrified slug speed of the uber traumatized. And she just cheaply replaced me after, returning to my ex-flame's play parties. One whilst pregnant, once in the immediate aftermath of, and then we went to stay at Serenity, and she just cheaply replaced me with an ex-lover who'd been staring at me 12 hours earlier in a cafe and had excommunicated her with such terms as slut and disgrace. Yeah, so Serenity revisited, only this time the Koh Pha-ngan Serenity. That's the site of it. And I suppose joy being a word I associate with candy flips, LSD and MDMA together. Ecstasy and joy are 2 words that you just associate, Freudian free association. But yeah, from Serenity, joy, being tarnished, besmirched. This time it's Serenity and candy flips. And a bunch of breakups thereafter, a birthday breakup, my birthday, and 1,000,001 other. Well, anyway, obviously I was just drinking when I realised that our reunion in India wasn't going to go down. I was trying to make it out there for her birthday. And I had to drink all the hippie drugs out of my system, 12 years of tropical amity. And omnishambles in the palm shade of paradise. And hippie, peace, love, unity, respect, philosophy. I had to drink all that out of my system because alcohol is a bellicose drug for the warlike, not for transcendental enlightenment or peace, love and understanding. So yeah, 26 hours into a dry fast and the pregnant sow belly's going down a bit, but this time instead of hitting 60 hours dry, I'm going to do 30 and then 30 hours wet. Big wet as in I'll just drink black coffee with no calories, so it won't be enough to take me out of ketosis and autophagy. And it won't halt the process of stem cell regeneration, because I do believe that what I've just done is the equivalent of 72 plus hours to 80 hours of dry fast. I think 1 day dry equates to 3 days wet. So if this ends up being a 4-day fast, it will essentially be 6 or 7 day fast. Yeah. And from here on in, I'm not going to do the long extended. I think my longest dry fast was nearly 80 hours, and I was really delirious. I can't remember if I hit 96 on that one, but all my wet fasts by then were like 112 hours minimum. But I have read compelling scientific reports that there may be significant neural shrinkage due to the dehydration, however temporary, and as regards blood flow. I mean, when you see all the doolally, spas-frazzled space cadet vagabonds roaming the streets, I don't imagine all of them are pissed as farts or high on crack or meth-fried mentalists. They can't all be tweaking and twitching. I'm sure some of them, their brain matter will have suffered from the constant periods of starvation. Anyway, that's this is 26 hours in dry. I just thought it was interesting to note that more dramatic effects were evident when I was skinny with a 6-pack 4 months ago, rather than after 4 months of drinking and Ukraine and Barbara and kamikaze drones and being rejected by the International Legion and the Norman Brigade. I was trying to drink myself into a kamikaze soldier's death, obviously. But even though there's so much more fat and water weight to go than I've got the pictures. I can share the last, from mid-October when I left, or even a picture of me and Barbara the month before in mid-September. I had a 6-pack until practically a cunt hair from December. I had a 6-pack, and then I had this belly, or yesterday's belly. The belly I had 26 hours ago on there. From here to here. Actually, yeah, it has had a definite effect. I just think it's interesting to note that the dramatic effects seem to be when you have a lower body mass index and even abdominal muscles, as I had. The 6-pack that I had 4 months ago became much more defined, and the love handles went, even though I was already in shape at the start of that. And yet now, with an absurd weight gain of the past 4 months of hardcore boozing and fast food, alcohol diet, Ukraine, post-Barbara Bersha binging, less obviously discernible or radical effects. But I'm sure if I hit 60 hours, this would significantly, I'd be back to looking sort of normal. Suck it in and, well, yeah, everything's shrunk. I've grown and shrank in all the wrong places. Funny old life. I should have pressed stop. 12:33. 1, 2, 3, 3. I like that. See, Barbara's got me. Oh, when her life is organised by the roll of the tarot card. And a little more soundly, astronomy elbowing aside astrology, I can't help but see numbers and palindromes